Hello again and welcome back to Pete's Model Car Customs. So I've got another update on the 1968 Shelby Mustang. I've doing a bit of a chassis swap on and some sort of cosmetic surgery. So I'll just whiz this round to the little table here. I've made sort of, as you can see, various progresses on various stages with the rear suspension from a 1994 Ford Mustang GT kit by AMT, where I've stolen the rear suspension here. I've got that basically mounted in with the discs mounted on and calipers that I was making on an earlier video. And I've also got that one mounted onto the front scratch built discs and calipers for all corners. If I just zoom down a bit, that's the kit firewall, and I was looking, this is the 68 Shelby, which is very cluttered and has got a very, over there a bit, not very well moulded master cylinder, or rather, the booster looks quite good, but the master cylinder is that moulded on blob there. There's a lot of moulded on plumbing and that, and heater elements, I suppose all these are over here. And this is the 94 one, which is basically the same shape but a lot cleaner, and there's additional parts added to it, so I might try to swap those over. This is the rad wall with very limited radiator detail, so I'm probably going to use this radiator, which I can't remember now whether showing me at See My BMW or Skid 800 made these. They're a resin printed radiator with a bit of plastic in that vent, but they're sort of see-through if I can get the right angle to it. But there is a see-through grid in. Oh, there you go. That shows it up black and blue, doesn't it? So that's a replacement radiator. And down here, I'll pick it up with my tweezers really. This is one of the things I was making with just using stretch sprue and heat. A water bottle with the cap off of it, and I've already put in the mounting spikes for just rearrange it on the tweezers. Those two pins there hook it on to the inner fender, sit still hand. But that's a piece of squidged up sprue with detailing on it to make a what are it called? The windscreen washer bag. I'll just bring that back out again. Set it down there. It'll look quite nice as a empty bag. I've got hold of the bumpers as I'm working down the table here. These are where I cut the grille out the other day and cut the bumper off. These are the quarter bumpers from it, from what was left over. So I've put 2 pins in those. On that one, trimmed them down to a sensible length. And I'm going to mount them either side of the grille, obviously, as separate quarter bumpers. This back tail light panel was rather V-shaped, so I've straightened it out and put these tabs along the top of it, but also on the part it fits to in the bodywork I've put a couple of more tabs that will go up behind it and actually hold it flatter in the car body, along with this bumper that will slide in. Moving around again. See, where can I get you there? The green bits in the background with my young lady sitting in it is the interior as far as I've got that. I'm sort of playing on whether to go for a sort of dark green or the limey gold green from this one that you can't see at the moment. That sort of colour. Fingers in the way. You know, the limey gold new release sort of colour. Or a dark green, I'm not sure yet. I quite like the idea of going with that limey gold green. So I've decided on a sort of green and black, for want of a better word. It's a dark grey, of course, again, interior. And I like using this figure to just size everything up. But I have changed a few bits of it. Mainly making up these panels here for either side of the quarter panels, because there's nothing on the interior of there, so I've made these up. I've also, let me get that cocktail stick again, redone the armrest down there, the door strap, you know, that you pull the door shut with, the windscreen wiper and the lock have had more detail added to them. In fact, replacement parts. Hang on, take some of this out of the way. Fine. Right, take that back off. Hopefully there's enough light to see in there. So as I've got the door strap there, that's a piece there with two pieces at the end, so as I can build up that. I don't know whether it will show you. I can see it in my, see what that, there you go. You see there's that part there, and then another sloping part. Right, and then this main scrap across there, and the same again, two parts there. Down on the latch, I just overlaid with another rectangle to give that a bit more body. I shaped this from a piece of just rectangular evergreen rod, and then made up a handle of an added round piece, a little length, and another, you know, slice of a bit of rod to give me a winder at the end of it. Will it turn around and catch the light? So that will give more three-dimensional look to all this handle gubbins and actually give you an armrest of a reasonable width. On this side, I've made up a rubber mat down the bottom. Hang on. There you go, a rubber mat for the floor and pedals. You see this is a greeny black, not a total black. It's a really dark green and black. And the same there, remaking the handles, or handle, the latch, armrest and that. And then making up these infill panels, which are 3 layers of sheet, really, and then this top layer with the panel on. I just filed, you know, a load of grooves with a file. Quite frankly, it was basically as that. Made up a sort of card template that would fit in, so as when they're folded over like that, into the car, you know, so it gives us sort of, there you go, something like that should be in there, a tilt. I'm sure whatever gap there is will be minor and invisible, but that will give the interior a bit more. When you're looking through a great big back window, sure there'd be an internal panel into that quarter panel. On the nose, I've done this sort of basic work, built up a frame around the grille in several parts. Is that going to come in? Hang on. Give that a go. Right. So it's up into the corners there. There's a part that goes up and around the corner, and another part that goes around that corner and up to brace up the shape a bit. Then the nose, I actually used another bonnet hood from a Revel that I was cutting up the other day car, 60 something 5 or 6, and cut that out, and on the inside of it I'll be able to trim out that final shape to give me the bonnet line and fit that the hood, and fit that hood back down properly. But at the moment I'm extending the light sort of parts out to the end of that nose and shape that nose. So as we've, going for that sort of an extended nose look like the concept car had. Was there anything else? I did mess around with this exhaust. I thought this exhaust moulding was really quite nice, so I added some. I might be able to fit this in, but I might be able to use it in parts. So I just painted it all up. But along these parts here, I added a strip all the way around each joint, and then added a bolt detail to make up a clamp on well, every joint really, except for these points here, which I think are an expansion joint, which I left as they were because that would be a good place to cut it. But all of this I've sort of added what they call clamps to, because it was a bit devoid of, and then used various tones. There's a sort of gold tone down on this end and a load of layering of paints, its washes and things, different greys, a mild slightly rusty red colour in a wash, and then another grey. I've drilled out the end tips a bit more. I'll do that again, give them a bit of depth. But I really did like the basic shapes of all this. I cleaned off the seam lines all the way around, cleaned them off and across that face, but cleaned off there, but added a strip along there and a strip on that one to replicate the actual weld seam that you'd have on a silencer muffler. But that was good fun detailing up that, because it's quite nice moulded parts, and it might come in use for something else. That is a basic update on this. I hope you're all well, and best wishes from jolly old England. Bye.